Does it matter whether the Earth is young or old? This is a question that has sparked countless debates and discussions. A matter of such magnitude has, indeed, divided opinions wide and far, particularly among religious enthusiasts. The question of the Earth's age is more than just a number. It's a symbol, a statement, a belief that shapes our understanding of the universe and our place within it. Let's delve a bit into the world of these differing viewpoints. On one hand, we have theistic evolutionists who harmonize science with faith, advocating for an old Earth. They employ interpretations like the gap theory and day-age view to reconcile scientific findings with biblical teachings. On the other hand, we have proponents of a young Earth. Their belief is anchored in both biblical narratives and scientific evidence. Then there's a third group, those who shrug and say the age of the Earth is irrelevant. For them, the question doesn't hold any significant bearing on their faith or their understanding of the universe. No matter where you stand, it's clear that the age of the Earth is a topic that continues to fuel thought-provoking debates. Theistic evolutionists stand firm on the belief of an old Earth. What's intriguing about this perspective is the unique way in which it marries religious faith with modern scientific understanding. The cornerstone of this viewpoint is the concept of theistic evolution, a belief that God created life through the process of evolution over billions of years. Now, let's delve into a couple of key interpretations that theistic evolutionists use to reconcile the age of the Earth with biblical accounts. First up is the gap theory. This theory proposes a significant temporal gap between the initial act of creation, as mentioned in the first verse of Genesis, and the subsequent six-day creation narrative. This allows for the possibility of an ancient Earth while still maintaining the literal interpretation of the 6 days in Genesis. The second interpretation is the day-age view. This perspective interprets the days mentioned in the creation account not as literal 24-hour periods but as long, indefinite periods of time. Each day could represent millions, even billions of years. This interpretation tries to align with scientific evidence, suggesting an Earth that's around 4.5 billion years old. In essence, theistic evolutionists try to bridge the gap between science and faith, interpreting biblical accounts in a way that aligns with an older Earth. On the other side of the spectrum, we have those who argue for a young Earth, such as myself. I believe a young Earth is consistent with science and the Bible. Now let's delve into this perspective. Young Earth proponents, as the name suggests, believe the Earth is relatively youthful in the grand scale of cosmic time. Their views are often rooted in a literal interpretation of religious texts, most notably the Bible. They see the events depicted in these sacred scriptures as historical accounts, providing a timeline that suggests a younger age of the Earth. This belief is not just a matter of faith. Young Earth proponents also turn to science, but their approach is a bit different. They critically examine the assumptions that underlie the scientific methods used to determine the age of the Earth. One of their main critiques is directed towards the dating methods employed by scientists, such as radiometric dating. Radiometric dating methods used to determine the age of the Earth's rocks rely on observing the decay sequences of certain elements. A key example involves uranium-238 decaying into lead-206, with scientists using the ratio of these elements in a rock sample to estimate its age. However, the validity of this technique hinges on several assumptions: the initial absence of lead-206 in the rock, unchanged quantities of uranium and lead over time, and constant decay rates. Doubts arise from possibilities such as the original presence of lead-206, migration of elements altering their ratios, and research suggesting that decay rates can vary under conditions like intense heat or volcanic activity, challenging the reliability of this dating method. Some biblical thoughts on a young are as follows. First is the creation week. Moses, in Genesis, mentions that all creation, including Earth and humanity, occurred within the same week of literal days, akin to those observed by Israel for the Sabbath. Second is evident sovereignty. The prophets and Christ himself pointed out that God's rule and the creation of man and woman occurred from the beginning of creation, conflicting with the idea that Earth predated humanity by eons. Third is the genealogical evidence. Luke traces Jesus' lineage back to Adam, covering approximately 55 generations from Christ to Abraham and an additional 20 to Adam. This timeline, even allowing for potential omissions, spans only a few thousand years, challenging the notion of a much older Earth. There is also scientific evidence of a young Earth, such as the Earth's magnetic field. Research by Dr. Thomas Barnes suggests that the Earth's magnetic field, which is decaying over time, originated only a few thousand years ago. Second is high-pressure reservoirs. The existence of high-pressure oil and water reservoirs underground, which are gradually losing pressure, indicates that these cannot be millions of years old, as the pressure would have dissipated much earlier. Third is the absence of meteorites in lower strata. The lack of meteorites in older geological strata suggests a shorter time frame for the sedimentary layers formation, aligning with a young Earth narrative. Fourth is population statistics. Current population growth rates imply an unrealistic number of humans if humanity had been around for millions of years, supporting a shorter human history. Finally, we have the shrinking sun. Astronomical observations of the sun's gradual shrinkage argue against the feasibility of an Earth-Sun proximity millions of years ago, suggesting a younger solar system. Then, there are those who believe the age of the Earth is irrelevant. It's an interesting perspective, isn't it? This group, rather than getting tangled in the intricate web of scientific dating methods or biblical interpretations, chooses to focus on the broader themes of the Bible. To them, whether our planet is thousands or billions of years old doesn't really matter. They are more interested in the teachings of love, compassion, and morality, the spiritual wisdom that transcends beyond the confines of time and space. They argue that the Bible is not intended to be a scientific textbook, but rather a guide to living a righteous life. The age of the Earth, in this view, is a question of science, not of faith. The Bible's message, they believe, holds true regardless of the Earth's age. They see the debate about the Earth's age as a distraction from the Bible's core teachings, a detail that might be interesting but ultimately doesn't impact their faith. It's a perspective that brings the focus back to the moral and spiritual essence of the Bible. For them, the age of the Earth is a detail that doesn't affect their faith or worldview. So, does it matter whether the Earth is young or old? This question, as we've seen, incites a vast spectrum of responses, each rooted in a unique blend of science, faith, and interpretation. Let's recap. From the perspective of theistic evolutionists, the Earth's age leans towards the older side, finding harmony between scientific theories of evolution and religious texts, through interpretations such as the gap theory and day-age view. On the other hand, proponents of a younger Earth draw from both biblical and scientific evidence to support their stance. I believe this is the correct view, and the one that makes the most sense. But then, there are those who argue that the age of the Earth, young or old, is irrelevant. The focus, they say, should not be on the age but on the marvel of existence itself. Yet, no matter where one stands, it's important to note that scientific dating methods, while impressive, are not infallible. Cases of discrepancies like those found in rocks from Hawaii and mollusk shells remind us of the inherent imperfections in our understanding. Whether the Earth is young or old will continue to be debated because some want to embrace modern science even though they keep changing how old the universe and Earth are, and they want to blend it with God's word. While some people don't care either way, for me, if evolution is true as science speculates, then it clashes with God's word, and would show that we don't have God's inspired word. So for me, it is extremely important to know whether the Earth is young or old.